Content warning. The following episode contains descriptions of drug use, body dismemberment, and violence towards children that may be triggering to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
So I can go ahead, get rid of that one harm, right?
Yeah. Anyone who has harm aside from Cecil, you still retain one harm.
Oh,
can I get rid of mine?
Yeah, sure. You can get rid of your whole character sheet if you want.
so brutal. Tear it in half.
Welcome, Wayward Souls, to another exciting episode of Top Hats and Tombstones. I'm Cameron Holt, I'll be your game master for the evening. I'm joined by the dwindling Arcana crew.
Yay! Hey, what's up?
Hey, all right, living's great.
Hey, wait. Hey.
All right.
Oh, boy.
It's the penultimate episode of Top Hats and Tombstones. If you've been laughing as much as us through this series, share it. Share it to that obscure Facebook board game group that you're part of. Share it to that weird subreddit that you're always lurking on. We can't. We're not allowed. So it's up to you.
Please.
We open on a rundown log cabin atop the tree-speckled foothill in the woods north of the city formerly known as Thistlewick. The windows are tightly boarded, and a thick layer of snow clings to the shingled roof of the cottage. It's been 7 days since the incident at the Exotic Creature Pavillion. Cecil Cobblemeat regained consciousness 2 days after losing his arm and has been slowly gaining mobility over the last few days. Survivors, for the first time in the week since the incident, how have each of you changed in look and demeanor as you've been tucked away outside of civilization?
That's a good
Are you up?
good
Are you awake now?
question.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, Cecil is mobile. This is the first time in the last couple of days that you've been able to get up and stay up, basically. Mm-hmm. I'll start. Dr. Blair is still with all of you. Dr. Blair didn't speak for several days. Kept his head down and tucked into his work, treating Cecil's injury. Eventually started, coming back to himself. He's lost some weight and is looking a little more gaunt these days. He's let Cecil know that normally after an amputation, he would want at least 14 days of staying in hospital care. But unfortunately, you're quickly running out of supplies, and it's looking like you might have to be mobile sooner rather than later.
Yes.
But yeah, Angus is quiet, and often when he's not working on Cecil, you find him just kind of peering out the window, whether he's keeping watch or just wistfully thinking of better times. It's hard to say. What about the rest of you?
I think Adelia has become very disheveled. This is the first time she's ever had to care for herself and be in this kind of survival situation. There's a gaunt look to her, and I think her eyes are kind of wild looking. I think that at first she was, that whole entitled sensibility of oh, my mana, I can't believe it's gone, is slowly, probably not even slowly, dissipated at the fact that people are dying around her now, and there's a bedridden member of the party. So I think that she's kind of stepped up and very poorly tried to help out, maybe. And maybe makes more of a mess than is helpful. And you can probably just see her kind of going crazy and doing her weird occult shit in the corners of the rooms when like she doesn't think anybody's looking. She's like lighting candles and like muttering stuff and like arranging things and like doing weird sigils everywhere.
Yeah, throwing bones.
Yeah.
You had one incident where you were, trying to help out and things went a little south. Was you guys have been having fewer fires than you would like because you've discovered that maybe the smell of the smoke, or probably not, it's visual because the creatures can't really see very well, but more often than not, if you have a large fire, you're more likely to have infected come out from the woods in your direction. And on one instance, you were noticing that the firewood was getting low, so you borrowed Cecil's axe and went out to attempt to chop a tree, which made some sound that attracted a couple of infected deer, and you had to quickly rush back into the cabin and barricade the doors before they eventually wandered off.
It's terrifying to think of like infected deer like at the doors and windows trying to get in.
Their little hooves clopping against the door.
You have the curtains closed, so you just see a deer like through
Silhouette.
the.
They still do the head to the side look, but it's much more like menacing.
Yeah. Jiggles and pulses.
Oh, like all these undulates that are undulating.
What about Ezekiel?
Yeah, so I think I'll probably cut the sleeves off my suit to be a little bit more mobile. I'm actually going to turn those into long strips of cloth that I'll probably tie around my leg after seeing you like lose an arm. I'm like, okay, tourniquets if we need it, or bandages. I'll just have those
Like
kind of like
pre-prepared to just pull it tight if you need to?
or to like pull tight on myself or undo and use.
Nice.
If possible, I might get you to make a little bandolier, like have a couple needles and then some vials and stuff on it.
Nice.
And then probably try to put a hook on the end of like the guns where they can like hang on a belt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, you're kind of like throwing yourself into crafting and preparation for the move to come.
Yeah. I think Ezekiel would still try to make light of the situation a little bit, but like none of the jokes that are landing, it all seems forced. To smile is like fake,
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Cecil, as you find yourself back on your feet, other than the obvious, what are some ways that Cecil has either changed or developed?
So normally Cecil's very confident in the things that he's skilled at, but having lost his arm and having failed to, save or at least help protect Nurse Blair from the Orca incident, he's shaken in his confidence in that respect. Mm-hmm. He's trying to learn how to be more precise with his offhand, so he's been practicing using it while shaving, but has, sliced himself a few times with his straight razor that he uses. So definitely attempting to stay put together, but there's marks on his face from those failures. Maybe like a visible representation of the other failures that he's had recently. Mm-hmm. And he's enlisted the help of Boris in some of this, like when he's not able to do things with his hand, showing him how to do some of the elementary things that he would normally do in these trades, like maybe helping make him a crutch, a human crutch for some of this.
Sorry,
in a way.
Who did he enlist?
Boris. Shit pants Boris.
Boris? Oh.
Clean pants Boris. Now, hopefully.
Excellent. And how does Shit Pants Boris react to this stepping up of responsibilities?
Hey Cameron, why are you looking at Sam?
That's weird. Let me just go ahead and get.
Yay! I'm so excited.
That's fun.
So Shitpants, aka aka Schpants Boris, for being 8 is, I think he's just, unfortunately, but fortunately, he's just like, oh, structure. That's good for me, a child. Probably out of everybody, having not really traveled with Beatrix for most of the time, and also being a probably hyper traumatized child, is probably
even
like
before
the
this.
least affected. Is just kind of like, oh, you need that, Mr. Cecil? Okay, sure, I'd love to. He's just he's like a sunspot
Yeah.
in the midst of this, but also always has his gun out.
Yeah, always in hand.
His pants have been washed, but every day they are dirty again.
A couple of points of order before we continue. Lady Adelia, in your act of selflessness in attempting to take out an orca that was going after your friends, you have gained the loyal skill, strength. What that means is each of the adversity tokens that you spend to help your friends gives them +2 instead of +1.
Nice.
Ezekiel, due to your extensive crafting and going out of your way to set things up for future travels and hopefully getting off of this island, you can add the prepared strength. And what that means is that you can spend 2 adversity tokens to just happen to have 1 commonplace item with you at my discretion. So if there's ever a situation that arises where you're like, it would have really helped if we had this thing, you can spend 2 adversity tokens and potentially have that thing.
Cool.
Cecil, due to your tenacity and continuing to push forward after suffering great wounds and honestly just still being here, you have gained the lucky strength. You can spend 2 adversity tokens to re-roll a stat check.
Ooh.
What do I get?
Shit pants,
Yeah.
you, having come from a background of being already so used to trauma, even before the outbreak of this parasitic disease, you've stepped up to aid Cecil where he needs it most, and in doing so,
Mostly.
yeah, and in doing so, you can add the heroic skill.
Yeah.
Basically, the way that works is you don't need my permission to spend adversity tokens to ignore fears. This hasn't come up super frequently, but in most cases, if something that is one of your fears is actively either around you or affecting you, in order to act against it, you have to spend an adversity token to face that fear. But also, I have to give you permission to do so if I think that it would work for you in the moment. But being heroic, you can just do that. So if one of your fears comes into play and you need to act anyway, you can spend an adversity token to do that.
Not my problem, old man.
Oh yeah,
Shit pants ain't afraid of nothing.
Pants Boris ain't afraid of nothing.
zombie
shit.
orcas.
I got a gun.
Orcas, new fear.
Yeah. I love that you're the only one who's just like, and adding that. Didn't know it at
Horses,
the time.
Orcas.
All I know is if it were rats, we never would have made it out alive.
So, in the week since the incident, holed up in this cabin, there's been no sign of the Grand Albrosian Navy on the island since the outbreak. You've spotted many infected meandering through the woods, but you've kept quiet and avoided making many fires. And yeah, you learned quickly that the smell of the smoke attracts them, not to mention the sounds of axes and falling trees required to gather and chop firewood. You're nearing the end of the firewood and food reserves that were present at the cabin anyway, and it will soon be time to leave. What do you all do from here?
Just a quick question. Have we seen any infected insects?
No, you haven't.
And when we were at, we may not have been able to see, but when we were at the aquarium, were any fish infected?
Or because they're mammals.
Yeah.
That's true. Make a brains check. This is literally Cecil kind of like racking his brain to see if he recalls any of the creatures swimming in the murky waters having those sort of pulsing eye stalks or anything resembling them. This is going to be a difficulty of 5.
Okay. Well, that explodes.
Ooh.
What?
Explodes again.
Yo!
21.
You remember everything.
Well, it's about meats.
Oh,
so
22.
22.
It is about meats. That's
It
a
is
good
about
point.
meats, yeah. Yeah, now that you think about it, you didn't really process it at the time, but in one of the tanks, as you were walking by, there was what looked to be like a barracuda. It was murky and not like right up by the glass, so it was hard to tell. You didn't really think anything of it at the time, but looking back, it did have sort of an oblong situation going on around its head. And the more you think about it, the more you convince yourself that those were definitely the eye stalks.
Gotcha. Okay.
Barracuda freak me out anyways.
Yeah, right.
They just like float and are so sinister looking.
Murder tube.
Ever since
that's what most big fish are.
What do you all do from here? You find yourselves in the cabin. Dr. Blair, he's thrown the last bits of jerky into a pot with some water and salt that was here and has made sort of a sad stew that you're all polishing off.
Salty meat water, my favorite.
Best meal I ever had. It's got real water in it, not just piss.
Yes, I don't know why you had all put Fart Pisser in charge of making the food back at the manor. It seemed like really the worst choice.
It was the best cook.
that's
No, wait, Fart Pisser was at the...
Yeah, he's never at them.
Well, I mean, before the out. Well, I guess not at the manor. Yeah.
Right.
I had heard tell.
I've been telling Dr. Blair all about the meals.
The piss meals.
Piss meals is what we called them. It's all we could afford. Dirty piss. How do you feel about killing my old friend who said normal things?
Worth it.
How far away is the mainland from...
From Thorncroft, the Isle of Thorncroft. Go ahead and make a luck check. This is to see if Lady Adelia has ever left the island. We'll say you want an 11 or higher.
It's a 9.
You're not entirely sure. You know that when your father would go on business trips on his ship outside of the island, he'd usually be gone for like 2 weeks at a time. But you're not sure how much of that was travel time and how much of that was him doing business.
Luxuriating.
Papa has a ship. I forgot about that. That'd be useful.
would it still be here?
I would assume, unless he left. I don't...
Or unless,
Do you know?
or unless someone else got the idea to take it.
Do you know where it was docked?
It should be at the port.
Would you be able to take it if the port were still not overrun or something? Would we be able to use your authority to use the ship?
Oh, yes. I thought you meant as, like, personally, I don't know anything about ships.
Yes, I am not an able seaman.
I've done a bit of, leisurely sailing on small boats.
I could probably sail a ship.
I believe you.
I strangely believe you as well.
How hard could it be? Seems easy.
It's not that, I mean, if you've got the manpower, it's not that challenging. I'm sure between the 5 of us, we could figure something out.
We just need to pack enough food to make sure we can get to the mainland.
Right?
Well,
How much do we have?
Well, this is the last of it.
I did have 2 preserved meats, but would we already
Yeah,
have...
any preserved meats you guys have had, it's been 7
Oh.
days. You've eaten all of your
Okay,
rations.
You can eat bark.
it's very sad to remove the meat
trees.
from
There's actually no nutritional value in tree bark. Really, it's just going to mess up your insides.
Got bugs in it.
Right, sure, you could eat bugs, actually. They're
And if you like
protein.
chewing bark.
I don't recommend you eat the bark of the trees.
But you can. Sometimes I used to go in the wood and just bite trees.
You know, I don't doubt that either.
Can I have put the hunting knife on like a stick?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
How many bullets we got?
I have a bag of revolver bullets on here.
Yeah, I think you should probably use a revolver from now on, right?
I don't know how good am I one-handing that axe? Do I have a? Did we have to adjust any of my stats? We had talked about that, but
I don't think we should.
okay.
Yeah, you've still got a powerful swing, even southpaw.
I'll have the revolver, but I'll have my axe as well.
We have two. You keep your own revolver. That's fine. We have one more.
Please stop aiming it at me.
No, we talked
It's
about
empty.
pointing it at
Remember,
anyone.
finger off the trigger, just straight to the side in case you need. And don't point it at anyone.
Only point at what you want to shoot.
Straight up is fine.
Just a little kid walking around with the gun in the
All right.
Maybe straight.
See him like running around.
Skitter, skitter, skitter. I'm in the walls.
Oh, I hope that rat man is doing okay. He did burn his house down, I suppose.
Oh, the rat man.
You know about the rat man?
Everyone knows about the rat man.
The one that was in the hospital walls.
The one that was in the hospital walls.
What's his deal?
It's just like that. Used to be, what I hear, is he used to be a sootling.
Oh.
And then he grew up.
And he became a rat.
That's what happens when you grow up. You live in the walls. There's lots of them.
Well,
We're all grown-ups. You just don't see any of us living in the walls.
Well, if you're a sootling, a grown-up sootling.
Right, I guess most
We
of
live in
them
the walls.
don't really make it to adulthood,
Well,
unfortunately.
they live to a ripe old age of 14, usually.
Right.
No, we grow up and we live in the walls.
well, that won't be your fate.
I don't get to live in the walls.
I mean, if you want to live in walls, you can. But
I'd like to try.
We could maybe we'll get you a place indoors. You can be between the walls.
wouldn't you like to have like a trade where you get to live under a roof?
It's like living in the walls, but bigger.
With like a couch
Right?
and a dog.
Sure.
A small dog.
Yeah,
I'd
and,
like a small dog.
and you could have walls on either side of you.
I've been thinking about naming a dog, if I ever got one. I think I'd call it Shit.
Shit pants dog.
We can workshop that.
What if you named him Shitpaws?
Oh, that's good.
That's
You're
absolutely
good.
cute.
You're good at naming things.
Thank you. It was my favorite thing to do before the shit hit the fan.
Before the shit hit the pants.
Have you considered preparing and preserving meat?
I could be into that. I'm real good with a gun. Can I do it with a gun?
No, but you can do it with a knife.
I don't know much about knife.
Well, we'll work on your knife skills.
Nice.
I guess our only choice really is we've got to set back out. We head for the port and perhaps try and find your father's ship.
Is there... we're in a hunting cabin? Is there like a bow and arrow anywhere?
Treasure hunter. Can I spend an adversity token to find a useful item in my surroundings?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's a short bow and a quiver of 10 arrows present.
Or definitely not you.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Can we?
You just...
Do you want to?
We could bandage it to your missing arm and just, you pull the...
I mean, if we were going to bandage
hard to
something,
aim.
I'd probably bandage my cleaver to it. But
Right. I'm also joking. It's still an open
I'm
wound.
already bandaging it.
I appreciate your initiative.
Of course. Whatever you need, Mr. Cecil.
We'll work on your knife skills soon.
Got a blunderbuss, a spear knife, a rifle.
Got the revolver with 12 rounds if you want to hold on to that.
Anybody want to give me a couple of bullets?
Yes.
5 shots.
How many do you give me?
You have 50 in your bag.
I'll give you 12. So a full gun's worth and a reload's worth.
A dirty Nigel's age.
Also, should we try to make a bomb?
A bong?
What?
A bomb. A bomb.
Oh, what?
Bomb.
I mean, we are just, bursting at the seams with opium.
Opium bomb. Oh, bomb.
If we got one thing, is drugs.
Well, we've got the fire bottles.
We can make 2
Got a
more
bag of-
flaming concoctions.
A black powder.
It seems dangerous to carry around an explosive device.
It seems dangerous to carry around a bag of black powder.
Right, that's fair. But I mean, mixing in shrapnel with it is going to make it a little bit more dangerous. If you were to fall down and land on it. I'm not saying no, I'm just, someone's got to be the advocate for safety.
I don't.
The kid can carry it.
No,
Absolutely.
actually he can't.
Absolutely not.
You could just hurl me at your adversaries.
You are not expendable.
If one of us is
Cecil
going to make
says
it,
I'm not expendable.
if one of us is going to make it through this, Boris, it's got to be you.
I think I've got a good chance.
Right. Well,
Right.
to the
What
port.
does the bow and arrow add to fight?
I'm going to say, being a child who's not trained with a bow and arrow, it'll be +1. Like, if any of you were to wield the bow, it would be closer to a +3. 3. But because you are a child, that's why it's +1.
Well, we should quietly make our way to the port.
Right. Onward. And you all set out from the cabin into the snow-covered woods and head towards Tartberry Port.
I hope the crunching snow does not betray our presence.
Whose shoulders am I riding? Whose attack child am I?
Probably
Nice.
me.
Everybody roll me a D6.
By all means.
It's a 4.
3.
A 1.
All right. Everyone mark off whatever number you rolled from your ammunition. That is how much you spend basically traveling through the woods as various creatures. There's a couple of deer, some squirrels, and thankfully no bears, but a couple of humanoids who have wandered into the woods as well that are alerted to your presence at one point or another that you end up taking out as you go.
All do we see any non-infected
No.
fauna?
Oh, you do see some animals that are not infected. There's actually, the smaller the creature and faster, the less likely it is to be infected. So yeah, you see like a number of squirrels that are fine.
Can I try and a squirrel?
Sure, make a make a fight check with your +1 from your bow. This is going to be a difficulty of hitting a squirrel with an arrow as an untrained bowman. It's going to be a difficulty of 10.
It's possible.
It's possible.
8.
You just miss the squirrel. It skitters off into the trees, but you can collect that arrow.
I get my
So did we collect any meat from any of those shots, or those were all infected?
Those are all infected. That was all defense. Breaking through the tree line, we see the cobbled streets and stone structures of Tartberry Port, a dark splotch among the winter landscape of Thorncroft Isle. Though it seems to have fared better than Thistlewick in terms of buildings burned, the port city is frozen in time and snow alike, gripped with despair, yet desolate. Moving further into the city towards the port, the light of gas lamps through the ever-present fog illuminates scraps of clothing, pocket watches, canes, and stuffed animals strewn about the streets, mingling with the red-stained snow. As you are moving quietly through the city, it's you don't come across any hordes immediately. You'll hear occasionally passing through a building an uttered phrase that has this sort of you've actually grown over the last week to recognize there's a certain like modulation to the voice that seems like whatever the worms are doing has also affected the vocal cords a bit, and you've started to be able to place whether speaking is from an infected person or a regular person. And you hear those telltale signs of modulation in voices that are lingering in buildings, saying things like, "By the one God's grace." One that you pass by, it's just like a door partially ajar to an old curiosity shop, and you occasionally hear a shelf get bumped, and a voice that just says, "Please, help me." And you continue on.
I pick up a few of those stuffed animals.
Yeah, what animals do you collect? Your choice.
I want 2 bears
Okay.
and a rabbit.
Okay, you stuff them into like a satchel that you've got, probably like an old pouch that you had from some days that you've worked several jobs, Boris. So you've probably got like a satchel from when you were delivering newspapers, still that thin layer of soot from your days as a chimney sweep. Mm-hmm. And, having never bathed. And as you continue on,
Smells like home.
you hear sound that, Cecil, to you is very familiar. The sound of a blade cleaving through flesh. It's coming from up a ways and around a corner.
I'll motion to the others that I hear that.
I'm gonna scurry down.
Yeah.
Peek around the corner.
Get out my poking stick.
Excellent, yeah. You all move to investigate with weapons at the ready. Peeking around the corner, you see what you've all at one point or another made a trek to Tartberry Port. There's various markets and a lot of pubs in the area that are nice, and was a bustling area of trade for the island. It's the port town. And you see what was once a general store that catered to the masses has been boarded up, and a makeshift barricade has been pieced together from what looks like bits of carts and carriages and carriage wheels, and there are sharpened poles that jut out from this barricade. And you see that there are bodies of infected that have become impaled and hooked onto these different spikes coming out from the barricade. And they're still moving and kind of like flailing arms upward. And standing atop the barricade, you see a short man wearing a top hat and a monocle, in a black vest and trousers, looking a little disheveled. And he's got a long spear that seems to be fashioned from a sharpened broom handle. He's stabbing down at the infected who have become lodged on the barricade's spikes. Can I have all of you make a flight check to remain hidden from the man's gaze? The difficulty is 11.
That's an 8 for Adelia.
8.
Okay.
19.
Oh, 1.
Okay.
I'm under the snow.
Force.
Yeah, take an adversity card, those of you who have failed.
Yes. Is this the heart of the mountain?
You're not sure. But the monocled man looks up and over in your direction and kind of like pauses for a moment before wrenching the spear free from the infected that it had stabbed down into, and kind of like makes a note of you all standing there, stabs down at another one. Seems to be the last 2 that it cleared out from the barricade.
Do we know that he spotted us? Like, it's obvious?
Yeah, he like perks up and looks in your direction, kind of like holds for a second before stabbing another infected.
Is the actual port that we're trying to get to beyond this barricade?
Yes.
Okay. So.
He straightens up and Cecil, you wave, holds up a hand,
Hello.
waves you over.
Can I try and sneak around his barricade while he hasn't seen me?
Yeah, do you want to leave the group to do so?
Well, I'm following their same trajectory because they're going over there, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm just snaking around.
Okay, you'll have to go like around the block. It's like blocking this entire street.
Okay. I'm just gonna stay.
Okay, you stay back. The rest of you approach, and as you get close enough to have a more quiet conversation, he looks down over all of you. None of you have been bitten, right?
No. Well, piece off, but not infected.
How long
Well over a
ago?
week ago. Well over a week ago.
Huh. You immune?
We got to it in time. It's fine.
There's a treatment to prevent infection.
Oh, really? And you found it?
On accident, but yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I kind of like nudge you in the side when you just like.
We used the last of it.
Oh, well, it's not safe to be out on that side of the barricade. Come around the left side, and I can let you in if you seek refuge.
We're trying to make our way to the port to leave. Are there any ships still in port?
Yeah, there's at least one. We can talk more inside. It's really not safe for you guys to be out there.
That's fair. All right.
I'll come down around and open the doorway. Meet me over here. He kind of like motions over towards the left, hops down to the other side, and you guys follow along. Boris, do you move with them as well? Excellent. The door opens, and there's the man, very small in stature, like maybe a little bit taller than Boris, but probably like malnourished. And he opens the door and he's like, come on, quickly. I don't want to leave the door open. Oh shit, there's another one. Oh. Hi, hello. Kind of like peers out.
Shitty Boris.
Oh, nice to meet you, Shitty Boris. I'm Pete.
Hi, Pete.
This was my shop. There's not much money to be made in it these days. Not that money even really matters anymore. Welcome. As I said, I'm Pete. It's nice to meet all of you. I am actually planning a bit of a trek myself, but
Where?
I'm headed south. I've got somebody that I need to make sure is okay.
Who?
My apprentice. They were doing some business in Thistlewick, and we're actually south of Thistlewick. They were at the Gilded Observatory, so I'm headed down to rendezvous with them at Cape Moth. But
Beware. I hear there's a sea monster near there.
I've heard that as well. Are those rumors true? Did you guys get here from Thistlewick?
Yes.
Damn.
We did. Also,
So it
the
is
main
possible.
road is apparently blocked as well. So we had to cut through the Exotic Animal Pavilion.
Oh,
It was ill-fated.
I see. Well,
If you're considering travel, I would reconsider.
I'm afraid I can't leave one of my own stranded like that, but of course I wouldn't ask any of you to head back that direction with me. You've got your own plan, and I can probably get around better, more quietly myself. But I appreciate the looking out.
They're word from the outside world.
Nothing that I've heard. I haven't seen any ships come into port. I swear I saw one off near the horizon. It looked like some sort of galleon, but it didn't come close enough that I could see if there was anybody on board, and I didn't want to, light a signal fire. Apparently the smoke draws those things near.
Yes.
Well, we don't need a galleon. We need a ship.
Right, a galleon's a type of ship. There's galleons, and there's sloops. There's
Ship should be a ship.
Right, well, there's all kinds of ships. There's different kinds, Normally they're named for how many masts they have and how many sails. This doesn't matter. Do you need a tissue?
No.
All right. It's a nice bearskin cloak you've got there.
Thanks. Real bear.
Interesting. You, do any work around in the cities?
I used to do some sorts of work, but now Cecil's gonna teach me how to cut meats.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, Cecil Common Meat.
Yes.
We've never met, but you've probably met some of my errand runners. A lot of the meat that I used to procure for the general store came from your butchery.
I love to meet a customer, for sure.
Excellent.
Did it?
Well, it's...
Meat.
That's a good one. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket if I ever see another living person again.
So hopefully the outside world is more tenable than the island.
Yeah. Well, when shit hit the fan, a lot of people were making their way out in this direction. A lot of people in the city of Tartberry Port. There was an incident during the Luminar Festival. It happened, thankfully, just before the lighting of the candles. So,
We were there.
really, in Tartberry Port?
No, at the Luminar Festival.
And this
Oh,
it happened at the same time.
Right, yeah. Well, we have our own smaller celebration here in Tartberry Port. That's, you know,
I see.
a lot of people from the mainland will come out here for vacation purposes, and most of them go to Thistlewick for the big, the lighting of the tree. But, we do our ceremonial situation here in remembrance of the one god or whatever. And
Is the tree lighting and the candle lighting events that happen at the same time?
yes, it's when the clock strikes midnight, we light our man-made fires as a symbol of, the one god's eyes are on the other side of the world now, and we're going to have to keep the warmth for ourselves.
And your event happened at that moment here.
It happened about maybe 15 minutes prior, around 11:45, is when I noticed that there was, bedlam in the streets. And, I locked down the shop and, well, I let in a few people that, were asking for safe passage, but, he kind of like goes solemn for a second. But one of them had been bitten and, things quickly turned and I wasn't able to help everyone in time. But
It's strange that these events happened so close in time together.
right, I have a theory that maybe there's maybe the incubation period, maybe whoever was first infected, maybe it happened around the same time, and then if it was multiple people, and then they split and went their separate ways, and then could have been a day later, could have been a couple of hours later, if it started affecting them at around the same time.
But the infection now happens so quickly.
I found it's dependent on where the source of infection enters the body. If it enters near a major vein or artery, it's much more likely
Yes.
to have a change take place. Usually within a single minute, if it's around the neck or the chest or the face. But extremities, I found that it takes a little bit longer, upwards of potentially even hours. But I haven't done a lot of research. I'm just a humble shop owner.
But the port and Thistlewick are so far removed from each other.
But didn't
Right.
we hear that it might have started the cannery? What if
We had heard that.
the infection somehow got in the food at the cannery?
The fish cannery.
Yeah.
Well, I know that the majority of the fish that are provided to the cannery come from Tartberry Port. So maybe if somebody was skimming off the top and ate some infected meats, even before they made their, journey to Thistlewick. I'm not sure. This is all pure speculation, but all that I know is I've got to go and find my apprentice to make sure that they're all right, and from there I'll, make my own escape plan.
Your apprentice have a name just in case we run into them.
Yes, if you run into a fellow around my height, a bit odd, but very intelligent, his name is Howard. If you run into Howard, tell him that Pete's looking for him and to rendezvous at Cape Moth.
Noted.
I've got some supplies left over. I was just planning to make my trek. I was, sort of getting supplies ready for what I think I'll need, but, I'm just a little guy, so it won't take me much to get all the way down there. I've got leftover from the shop, the things that I hadn't sold that haven't spoiled yet, if you guys need anything for your journeys.
Oh, that would be perfect, actually. We're not entirely sure how long the trek's going to take, but maybe a week.
Excellent.
I have some silver marks we can pay.
Don't worry about it. Money's not worth anything anymore.
Well,
Not
You
here.
see Adelia's face, just like she's got a 1,000-yard stare.
That was the true horror sets in over Adelia.
remains to be seen, but
At least here on Thorncroft. But all the more reason that you should keep your funds in case you make it back to Grand Albrosia, the mainland.
it's appreciated.
Certainly. Yes, we got a number of cured meats. You'll probably recognize most of them. And anything else that you could need.
I will definitely grab some preserved meat.
Excellent.
Do you have to have any ammunition of any sort?
I don't sell ammunition, unfortunately. Just mostly foodstuffs. We've got some canes, gardening equipment, a number of things, that could be fashioned as weapons. We've got some fireplace pokers as well. Anything outside of the realm of firearms. We do have some hunting equipment. There's some arrows.
Or something that could be packed into a blunderbuss, be fired?
Oh, yeah. I've got the ball bearings out the ass. They're not actually in my ass. They're in this barrel.
It would be an unusual place to store them.
Right. They're in the barrel this time. Anyway.
So we
Walks
can-
over, and you see there's like a large pack that's been put together that's got like a bedroll on top, large backpack filled with various things. There's a couple of dangling keychain charms as well that have been like padded so that they don't jingle against each other. He kind of like pulls the pack on. I was actually about to head out while I was clearing off, what infected had impaled themselves on the barricade. I should warn you, I haven't been able to clear the port. I've sort of got the surrounding area, at least 6 blocks around us, but once you get to the actual port itself, I haven't spent any time down there. So just be on the lookout for anything that seems dangerous.
Manage your sounds and your smells.
At my age, it's hard, but I'll do my best.
Sign.
You both shit your pants and laugh.
That's why they call me that.
He looks out over all of you with sort of like a mixture of a look of hope and wistfulness. You're not sure if it's reading more as like good luck to you or as like these poor folks. But he kind of like looks over and is like, I hope that your plans work out.
Likewise.
Very well, Pete.
Yeah, you as well. I don't think I got your names, but Cecil, it was a pleasure to meet you. Shit pants.
Shitty.
Shitty,
They
right?
call me Shitty now.
My apologies. Shitty, good luck to you. And take care of the kid. And
I hold up my gun and my arrows.
Pete adjusts his monocle and goes out the door that he let you all in through. And before he closes it, he kind of peeks back in. He's like, oh, there's a latch on this if you'll want to lock it when I'm gone. It's totally fine. I'm not coming back here. Closes the door.
Bye, Pete.
Well, if he's not coming back, I'll look in this register for money.
I hold up I can't see over the counter. I just hold a hand up.
Yeah, you find about 100 silver marks. We'll call it 98.
Wow.
Just to be
Realistic.
accurate.
Yeah.
Some for
Look for
Shitty.
various little vials and things to fill with black powder for you to like.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you find a you find a couple of like these little bottles that have this weird like glittery liquid in them that you imagine is probably just like decorative. And you open it, pour those out, and start filling it with black powder and stuff.
I think that was anger on Josh's face just now. We pour it out?
Pour it out.
I feel like Ezekiel wouldn't.
I mean, it's like
Yeah, I can
it's got
always
like
do more.
it's got
I
like
got
as-
so much shit on me.
Yeah, I would say as somebody who frequently mixes shit together for consumption that's like questionable,
I'm just gonna be like,
Ezekiel has tested enough that you know that like, oh, if this has like sparkly shards in it that might be metal flakes. You've tried that before, made you very sick. So just like pouring those ones out and filling them with the black powder.
very cool.
So that gives me a couple more rounds for the blunderbuss.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many arrows did I manage to?
As many as you can carry. We'll say in the quiver that you have can hold up to 30.
Nice.
Adelia's rummaging through. She's like, okay, we'll need cat food and then child food, I guess, and then
Sure.
is that what they feed you? I don't know how children work.
I mean,
I'll eat cat food.
Boris is at an age that he can eat the same thing that we eat as adults. There's not a difference in food.
Right, and I assume there's like
I've had
bags of
cat food.
adult
It's
food.
fine.
How does this work?
What do I eat?
We can all eat meat.
Right, me and Cecil will handle the preparation of the meals.
Yes.
I'll watch.
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm learning.
Yes.
Great.
Can I have a knife?
Yes.
Nice.
I'm surprised you didn't have one already.
No, I mostly do gun.
I have a few sharp knives I will give
Nice. Hell yeah.
Shitty
Thought
Boris
about
one.
giving Boris the switchblade, and I was like, no. Terrifying.
I run through some knife safety things with Boris
Yeah, absolutely.
so that they don't hurt themselves or us or the knife.
Excellent. Yeah, you all get acquainted with your weapons and steel yourselves. And
Pull out the rabbit. I practice stabbing it.
I'll say probably
No rabbit.
with the trek here, which took several hours, you probably also get some sleep, get rest for the night in this like very well fortified position, which
How often do we hear an infected just thunk on the barricade?
probably like every couple hours.
Okay.
Awful.
It's not super frequent, but you know, occasionally one will wander into a spike and get lodged. It's comforting knowing like if you were to stay in this specific place long term, it would take a lot of upkeep. You'd have to do, you know, what Pete was doing. You'd have to go out and take out the zombies and pull them off of the spikes occasionally. But for one night, it should hold for your purposes. So you all get a nice bit of rest.
While we're resting, I'm thinking about the fact that it might not be safe for my cat to eat whatever rats it finds anymore. Mm-hmm. And since I don't have a shop for it to like keep clean, it doesn't really have a job anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get some cat food if there was some of that
Yeah,
and put it in the pack.
there is cat food.
Where's it come from?
The cat food?
Oh.
I think mostly it's made from horses.
Ground up
Oh,
meal, meat
Good.
and
as long as it's not fish.
Mix it with flour and dry it out, bake it, little pellets.
I think the process of preparing it would eliminate any parasites that might be present.
I hope so.
Me too.
Maybe avoid just the dry stuff, avoid the wet cans, since we're not sure about canneries these days.
What's the cat's name?
Well, he hadn't had a name until now.
I'm gonna call him Boris Jr.
All right.
That makes me Boris Senior.
Yes.
That it does.
If we can find a third Boris, he could be Boris the First.
Now you realize that if anything,
You're like looking at your stuffed animal.
if anything happens to me, it'll be your responsibility to take care of Boris Jr.
What's he need?
Food
Sure,
and
we got that.
scritches behind the ears sometimes.
I can do that.
Okay.
I used to scratch old baby Pete behind the ears.
That's just wonderful.
Very disturbing.
I imagine
darling,
Cecil
yes.
says this and immediately walks away. You all get your rest, pack up your things in the morning, and head to the opposite side of the store, where another doorway leads out to a little, what was once the street, which has now become this sort of courtyard behind the barrier wall. And there's a secondary barrier door that you can open from this side. As you do so, and step back out into the city of Tartberry Port, making your way through the streets, it's much more grim even than, like there was something about seeing the discarded belongings of people trying to flee and wondering, did any of them make it? But it's much more grim approaching the port, as there are also bodies in the streets of some look like people who were never infected, were just either trampled or torn apart and died before the infection could take hold of them. And there are others who look like they were once infected. And you come across a number of these sort of tableaus, as they were, that give you glimpses into the last moments of some survivors in this city on your way out. There's one particular building that is completely closed up, and boards have been nailed into the doors, and in what you hope is red paint on the door is just written "Do not open," and the doors themselves are sort of still, there's something on the other side pushing against them. And you kind of make a wide berth around that one, and eventually come to the docks of Tartberry Port. Looking out, you see a number of ships. One of them is burned out and partially sunken, and the port itself isn't super deep water. It's basically just deep enough for the boats to make port here. So it didn't fall and become completely submerged. You just see the top of this burned out ship emerging from the ocean. There's a dense layer of fog that just lays over the ocean from here, so you just see water and then gray. There is one ship that remains in the port, undamaged. The name on the back is the Wave Trotter. It looks to be in good shape. It's still floating, it's not on fire. And I would say, based on name alone, you would be aware that this looks to be a ship that belongs to St. Clair, the St. Clair family.
There are horses on the front. The mast? No.
The mermaid.
It's usually a mermaid with boobs out.
The figurehead of the ship is definitely a horse with
boobs out.
Yeah, horse with tits and hooves up. It's actually like a horse mermaid.
Yes, I remember when Dad had that commissioned.
A silky.
Does it have boxing gloves?
Like a Selkie with tits. Yeah. It doesn't have boxing gloves, as hilarious as that would be. And you see the ship itself is in port and still tied up to the docks. It's not as large as you had imagined. You were probably picturing some massive, probably picturing a galleon. This one is closer to being a sloop. It's got a single mast and 2 sets of sails, and I would say, Adelia, you would be aware that mostly this ship is used for transporting horses from the mainland to the island. Unfortunately, the gangplank is not set up. So you can see the area where you would walk on the gangplank to get onto the ship, but it is not currently there. So it's just docks and then space and then the entrance a little further up.
Is there a gangplank?
Does that come from the ship?
Typically, it's provided by the ships, but if you guys want to look around the docks, you can make some difficulty 6 brains checks to search the docks and try and find either a gangplank or something that could function as one.
Explode?
Oh!
Explode.
Hey!
Wow. It's 4 explosions this session.
23.
Hell
Wait,
yeah.
24.
I just want to roll brains.
I mean, I got
sure.
a 7, or an 8, but that just
Ooh!
blew me out of the water.
2.
You're not even looking, are you?
6?
Me and Cecil against the wall.
What did Adelia get?
8.
8? Nice.
Staring at the masthead or something
Crying a single
Is
tear.
it supposed to be more of a mermaid or a human or a fish, horse? Why Why the two boobs?
They're on like the space where human boobs would be too, not where horse boobs would be.
The rest of you looking around,
Fish boobs.
you find floating on the surface of the water.
Boobs.
Floating on the surface of the water, there is a gangplank that appears to have been the one that was leading to the ship that caught fire and sank. And thankfully, this part didn't catch and has just been kind of floating and working together, probably with the use of some of your like iron rods and spears and things. You managed to like pull it over to the side, and it takes at least two of you to like lift and heft it up, and you can carry it over towards the ship.
Good.
Go ahead and whoever wants to place it, we'll call this a planned
I
action.
feel like yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'd be me, huh?
For what?
2 arms.
Oh.
Oh yeah, probably so.
Dr.
Not a little
Angus.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Go ahead and make a brawn check,
Warlock?
Ezekiel. To you kind of like
More than yours.
you kind of like working together. You get it lifted up. This is a planned action, so anybody who
I'll help. but
Okay.
You can do most of the.
for sure.
What's
This is going to be a brawn check. This is going to be a 2-tiered difficulty. I'll tell you the difficulty to have it placed properly.
and then quietly.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the difficulty to place it properly is going to be 6.
Okay.
I will not tell you the difficulty to do it quietly.
I've got to explode.
Yeah, we gotcha.
Okay. Cool. That's a 1.
Oh no!
Well,
All right, so we both have loyal, is that right? So
we can
that's
make it an 11.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we gotta do it.
Okay. You guys burn your adversity tokens.
So wait, you don't need all of those.
We don't know what the difficulty for quiet.
But it's a separate check, or
No, it's part of the same check.
oh, okay, cool.
It's 2-tiered.
was-
So yeah, 6 gets it done, and there's another number that I'm thinking of that will do it quietly.
Just imagine you're like, eh.
I like drop it and you just kind of.
We've got 11.
I'm watching.
Yeah, Ezekiel, it starts to slip out of your grasp, and Cecil grabs it with his good arm on the side and kind of like helps get it back up, and the two of you lower it down, and at the last second it kind of like slips and just, it doesn't fall, but it just into place. You all tense for a moment, and you hear shuffling on board the ship. Kind of like grab each other and take a step back, and you see coming around the corner, peering over the edge of the ship itself, is the head of a horse that steps forward. No eye stops. He kind of just like looks over and is curiously looking down at all of you. Seems nervous. There's a little bit of a sway to the ship, and it kind of looks down and is just like, and then gets taken down as another horse with pulsing eye stalks takes down the first one. And that's where we're going to end this episode. We'll see you next time in the finale for the horse fight.
Oh my god!
Horse fight.
How dare you?
There's a rush of bodies with pulsing eye stalks that rush from the fissure in the ship's hull, which instantly surround the couple, biting into them ceaselessly. As its leg buckles, it breaks, but the horse continues running on its broken joint instead of the hoof.
I don't like
and
that.
Just that image alone is like off-putting enough, but also its change in trajectory makes this more difficult of a shot to make. Wait! Don't go! Wait for us! Appearing around the corner of a building about 100 yards away, you see the familiar visage of Liliana Baldersnoot, whom you haven't seen since the Orca incident 1 week past. She is hand in hand with a dirty little child that you'd recognize anywhere. Fart pisser.
Fart piss.
There's a rising cacophony. Rounding the same corner, behind them is a massive horde of infected. Bodies careen through storefront windows along the harbor. Others appear along rooftops, hurling themselves down to the street below, where they hastily get back to their feet in pursuit of the pair running frantically for your ship.